All right, let's start with a quick recap of this weekend's boxing. It was a very, very busy weekend for boxing. Friday, we had Thompson Boxing, and Saturday, we had 3 different cards from 3 different promotional companies. For Thompson Boxing, all I know, because I only watched, honestly, the main event, which was Saul Sanchez. He actually took his first defeat via split decision. If you're not familiar with the Thompson Boxing, its promotions is basically local boxers, prospects who put on really good shows. Most of the time, those shows are on Fridays. So you guys should definitely check this out. And Saul Sanchez, even though he took a loss, it was split decision, and he didn't look bad. You know, it's just once you are growing as a prospect, you do take on harder opposition. And sometimes, to me, it seemed like it was taking him a little bit longer to adapt to this his opponent's style, which is why he lost. But it was a split decision, so it could have gone either way. Saul Sanchez from Pacoima, he's actually in the stable of Joel Diaz, so you guys should definitely check him out regardless of his loss, because I'm pretty sure he's going to come back and definitely learn from this fight. Early on Saturday, we did have Crusher Kovalev make a title defense against Anthony Yarde, and my God, my dudes, like, this shit was intense. Again, another fight that I only watched the main event. Call me a casual, I don't give a fuck. I was in Mexico, and I honestly didn't have time to watch everything else, but I was not going to miss this shit. And I know Kovalev has lost his luster ever since the back-to-back defeats with Andre Ward. However, I think that's what makes him a little bit more fucking entertaining, you know, because you don't know what Crusher you're getting. You don't know if we're ever gonna get back this vicious motherfucker, or it's just this, you know, kind of insecure guy now who is gonna have the demons and the ghost of Andre Ward up in that ring with him, you know. Even though I think that Kovalev beat Ward the first time. Fight me if you disagree. Drop your location, because we gonna fight if you disagree. Point is, I think this is what makes Crusher even more entertaining now, because even if you do think he's not the same guy, either he's gonna knock some motherfucker out or he's gonna get knocked the fuck out, you know. So it's pretty entertaining regardless. So let's get on with it. Anthony Yarde and his trainer claimed the whole time that they had not sparred at all in, you know, leading up to the training of this fucking fight. And honestly, I think they're full of shit. I think they're full of shit. How are you gonna go for a title shot and not incorporate sparring into your daily routine like that? What? Like, every gym I visited, it's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday sparrings, and what do? You just do what do you do? Pad work? I've seen them do mitts, and I know that's the flashy things to do, to be like on the bench, and it's like, wow, that's fast, impressive. But your opponent's not just gonna fucking stand still and, you know, fucking let you punch them like that. You're not gonna throw that many punches in a fight at once. So, as impressive as that clip was of Anthony Yarde doing those that mitt exercise, doesn't mean shit in boxing, in real boxing, right? But he did have really good success with Kovalev, especially in the 8th round, where he almost knocked Kovalev out. And I'm actually surprised Kovalev didn't take a knee. Egis Klimas was looking like he was about to get up and get the fuck on out of there from how nervous he was. Literally, Yarde almost had Kovalev out, to the point where Buddy McGirt told Crusher, like, hey, you gotta show me something or else I'm gonna stop this shit. And I completely understand, and I'm actually surprised that they didn't stop it, because we know what happened with Maxime back earlier last month and his tragic death. So I don't think McGirt would even take that chance at all with Kovalev, right? So I was surprised it didn't get stopped, but it was almost as if Crusher took this as a challenge, because he's like, oh, show you something? I bet. And he just fucking went completely ham, went back to dominating with that fucking jab, and it was just honestly so goddamn amazing to see. Obviously, we saw Kovalev take control the whole fight, the majority of the fight at least, with that jab alone. I just wish something would have followed. You know, he was very dominant with the jab alone, the right jab or just left jab, because I think the one he knocked him out with was the left. But he was just really, really proficient with the jab. I just wish something followed. Nothing really followed whenever he would land that jab. He didn't really set it up that way. So I don't know if he did that on purpose or he was just goddamn tired. And I know they were both so tired. But the difference was that not only maybe that fucking Crusher does spar, maybe not that much, but he does. But Crusher has that experience, and he's been there before. And Crusher has been taken to deep waters before, and he's gone the distance before. So yeah, he's been tired. Yeah, he has stamina issues, but he's been there. He's been there. He's finished fights. So that helped him, as opposed to Yarde, who had never seen past the 7th round and never really had to go the distance or been in deep waters ever. So this definitely came down to experience versus inexperience. I don't want to say youth, because it's inexperience that led Yarde to not be able to capitalize on Kovalev's exhaustion and being pretty much almost done in the 8th round. His biggest mistake was not finishing him off in the 8th round. Also, his corner was kind of not helpful at all, and that shit tripped me out. But point is, congratulations to Kovalev. I know now there's this bigger even talks about Canelo and Kovalev and what that would be like. I would love to see it. I was rooting for Kovalev in this fight just so I can see that fight with Canelo, and I would probably make my own I guess analysis and commentary when the time comes, is the fight does get made. But man, I would fucking die if this fight would get made of happiness, okay? But after, so that I can see it first. We also saw oh yeah, well, I didn't tell you guys how it ended. I'm pretty sure you all saw. But it was in the 11th round, a left jab that sent Anthony Yarde to the canvas to not get up, Jim. And I know the commentator said left hook, but that should look like a jab. That was a jab, right? Unless I just don't know shit about boxing, but that was a jab. That was a left jab, not a left hook. But shit, maybe, I wasn't there, so maybe I was looking something totally different. Then let's move on to Sonora's fight in Sonora, Hermosillo, Mexico. I was actually there, and it was pretty fucking exciting. I tried the Sonora beef, and fuck, that shit is bomb. Y'all remember in the fight leading up to Ruiz Estrada, the second one, the rematch? They asked Estrada about the whole clenbuterol thing and Canelo's little clenbuterol scandal. And he basically threw what the fuck? He threw a little bit of dirt at Canelo, basically saying, I eat meat all the time in Sonora because Sonora has the best fucking meat, proven. And he said, and I don't pop positive for clenbuterol. Like, I eat meat. And I eat meat, and I'm not, like, fucking popping off with shit. So, something about I eat it, I don't inject it, or something like that. Which doesn't make sense, because from as far as I know, you can't really inject clenbuterol. But, again, I don't know shit about how these drugs work, so I'm just not going to say shit. But, man, Sonora beef is so fucking bomb. If you guys ever go to Sonora, try the meat. I had some tacos, and it was the best thing I ever had in my life. Like, hands fucking down. So, shit, Gallo, he was not lying. And this card was actually pretty stacked, especially for being in Mexico. We did have Alexis Espino, who's one of Robert Garcia's guys, knockout. I don't remember the guy's first name, but I know his name is Soto. And they were both, I think the Soto guy had one and one, like one defeat, one victory. And, he was catching Espino with some really nice punches before getting knocked the fuck out, of course. So congratulations to Espino, who I think moves to 3-0 or 4-0. I'm not sure. But good shit, got the job done. Not without, again, getting some fucking punches landed on him first. But this is boxing. And he's barely starting, and that's supposed to help him hopefully work some shit out next time. Now, with... who else was on that shit? Another young kid that I know his fucking name, but I'm having a brain fart right now. And he's also improved to 4-0 with a KO victory. What is his name? You know what? I'm sorry. Pacheco. There we go. Pacheco. That's his name. So that's... what's his first name? Jose? Or is that racist of me to assume his name's Jose just because he's Mexican? You know what? Pacheco. He improved to 4-0. Okay? Right. Cool. We also had Liam Beefy Smith in that card, which that was actually a pretty entertaining fight. That was about the time that I was sitting down with my beer, finally settling in. And it was a good fight. Lozano was his opponent. And, it was a back and forth fight, but it was definitely Liam Smith landing the better shots. And when the fight was stopped in Liam's favor, obviously the Mexican fans went fucking crazy because, they're Mexican, so they're going to root for their guy. And they're like, no mames, and all this shit. But, I had never seen an atmosphere as cool as Mexico. It was fucking awesome to be in a fight in Mexico. That shit was pretty fucking nice, and I can't wait to experience that shit again. I've been in Canelo Triple G. I've been in Canelo Triple G 2. I've been to countless fights where the atmosphere is there, you know? I mean, shit, Leo Santa Cruz versus Abner Mares at the Staples Center. That, like, I could still feel the ringing in my ears from the fans in that fight. But this was some other level shit. Like, I gotta give it to my Mexicans. We know how to get lit. Nos vale madre, you know, all the obscenities that they were yelling. People threw beer and it landed on my arm. That shit hurt it. But it hurt. But I knew what to expect. I've been at Pico Rivera for concerts, and they throw bottles there too. I've been there. You know, I know my people. They don't know how to act. But it was pretty fucking cool. Other than that, it was an amazing experience. I really enjoyed that fight. I think Estrada looked good. I know a lot of people gave him a lot of criticism for the punishment he was taking, which is not really a lot, but, you know, Beeman was landing some really nice punches. But I think the reason why Beeman was landing those punches is because Estrada didn't really respect his power or his, you know, ability very much to kind of care to get some punches landed on him. And I think my favorite part of everything was the way that even though Estrada was getting these punches landed on him that were very heavy leather at sometimes, he would come back with the nicest, most crisp combinations to back up Beeman, right? So this shit was impressive as fuck to me. I think he has to be my favorite Mexican champion at the moment. I know a lot of people don't give a fuck about the smaller weight classes, but fuck, that shit was good. He looks sexy in the ring, and I don't mean that shit in like a sexual way, because I don't like him like that, but just the way he moves around the ring, that shit's sexy. I like it. I like him. He's pretty amazing. I think he gives Mexican champions a really good name. He dropped Beeman in the second round twice, and I know Beeman was the first time complaining that it was a slip, but the second time, you know, he knocked him again, and that pretty much proved it that, you know, motherfucker, you got stumbled, you got caught, right? And he continued to stun him throughout the fight several times, and the reason why I say that Estrada didn't necessarily find Beeman's power, you know, he wasn't respecting his power, was because we saw Estrada estaba payaseando, like he was showboating a little bit. You know, he's in his home. I mean, he's from Puerto Peñasco, Sonora, but, you know, he's in his home state, and he's showboating. He's putting on a show. So I don't think he respected him too, because he was like, you know, doing some little, you know, maromero shit for a little bit. When, you know, Beeman tried to hold on to him, he tried to do a little little dance with him. It was pretty entertaining, and people were going wild in the arena. It was about 12,000, I think, capacity, and that shit was sold the fuck out. And it was amazing to see it. It was amazing to see the stoppage, which came in the 9th round, I believe. And I probably wouldn't have stopped it before this, you know, these tragic events happened earlier last month with these two fighters who passed. But because again, Beeman was landing some nice shots. He wasn't like winning, but he was putting up a really good fight. And, you know, anything can happen in boxing. But at the same time, he was taking some punishment. He was not punching back that round as frequently as he was in the previous rounds, and he was just getting, you know, stunned time and time again. So I'm not gonna bitch about the stoppage, especially because, hey, I was in Mexico and I was lit as fuck with the rest of them. So no complaining here. Post-fight, I did have a chance to talk to Estrada and his people. One thing that really pissed me off about that, you know, press, post-fight press, whatever, was that Gallos, I don't know if it's his manager, was there, and he was basically answering all the questions for Gallo. Now, I wanted to be like, bitch, can you let a motherfucker talk? Like, I was really annoyed by that, because in no moment did I feel like Estrada did not want to answer the questions himself, or in no form did I ever feel like he was uncomfortable with the questions being asked. And honestly, I feel like I was one of the few independent media there, because it was mostly like TV Azteca and like the big, you know, the TV people, right? So they were asking just, you know, generic vanilla questions like, what did you think of your opponent? And what do you say to your fans tonight? And, oh, how did you enjoy putting up a beating in your home state? You know, generic shit. I didn't. I asked him about his weight issues. Well, not issues, but basically like, hey, like there's rumors that you are struggling to make weight. Is there a possibility you might move up? I asked him about, what his long-term goals are in unifying, and Eddie Hearn kind of went in on that one, and I was like, hey, you fight, possibly an undercard for Joshua Ruiz too in Saudi Arabia, which I'm like, damn, that'd be sick, because that's also Mexican versus UK. So if you guys want to make a Mexican versus UK card, count me the fuck in. But point is, Eddie Hearn was like, yeah, he's my favorite Mexican champion right now, and yeah, I want to have unification. But then his manager or whoever came in and he's like, oh, well, long term we want Naoya Inoue. And yeah, that's what we want in the long term. And I'm just like, boy, are you kidding me? You want to fight the monster? Because I don't recommend that shit. But I mean, he's daring to be great, as we like to say it nowadays. He's daring to be great. And I asked him, like, okay, what do you think you can do against Inoue that these other champions haven't been able to do? I told him, like, we know that you're not just a Mexican-style come-forward fighter, but, you're more tactical than that. So what can you do? And he basically just said, like, well, I come to punch. Like, I'm not just going to stand in front of him, but I am going to punch at a higher frequency than the guys he's fought. So yeah, I'm definitely going to put the interviews up on my YouTube, so you guys can definitely check it out there. For those watching the video, I will post a little flag on here so where you can catch the interview with both Eddie Hearn and with Estrada. Now, Eddie Hearn, I asked him about Usyk's opponent because, bitch, we've been waiting forever for Usyk to make his opponent known for his heavyweight debut. And I asked him, like, if it's Takam, why is it taking so long if that was his initial opponent? And he basically said no. He's like, no, it's not going to be Takam because Takam signed with somebody else. But I'm still waiting too. And that's basically how he left it. I asked him about the Ruiz versus Joshua stuff. I asked him if there was maybe some animosity against Canelo because, Canelo's making them basically maybe lose money or maybe for the fans to lose interest in his own because he's not fighting as often as he should have. And, if that's why he says that Gallo is now his favorite Mexican. So definitely go check that interview out. But let's move on to basically this weekend's fights. I'm sorry I did not watch the PBC fights. So I have nothing to say on them. I did watch some highlights, but nothing really to comment on, so I'm not really gonna fucking talk about it because I don't know shit about the PBC card on Saturday. This weekend we do have Lomachenko making his return to the ring after beating and almost decapitating, what's his name, Croya? What was his first name? What's Croya's first name? God damn it, I forgot what his first name was. Point is, we saw that Lomachenko had him face down, ass up in the last time that he dropped them, and it was a pretty impressive win. I know a lot of people are like, who cares? Who is this guy? But, mandatory, sometimes the thing about mandatories is that you have to fight him. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Lomachenko's first choice. Every time I've seen Lomachenko at media workouts, he says he wants Mikey, he wants top competition, but, because of politics, it doesn't happen. But, of course, he's just going to keep fighting his mandatories, and I know a lot of people doubt Lomachenko, and a lot of people say he's not pound for pound because he doesn't have any fights or whatever, but you got to think of it this way. This guy has, 14 fights? How many fights does this motherfucker have? 13? And he's already a 3-division world champ. Like, you got to fucking respect that. He's fought, champions and dethroned them. He's going up in weight classes. His only defeat is to the GOAT, Siri Salido, who was actually there at the fights on Saturday, for Estrada's fight. I wonder if he stole another 6-pack that night. But that's his only defeat. And I think besides Siri Salido being a dirty motherfucker, and I mean this in not, the least offensive way, I love Salido. He's a GOAT. But yeah, he didn't take the blueprint to try to outbox Lomachenko or outsmart him. He just went in there and be like, bitch, I'm gonna kick your ass. And he was being super, aggressive in a kind of dirty way. And that worked for him. And ever since then, no one's done that. The one that got closest to it was Linares, but that was basically with his speed. And speaking of Linares, Linares actually has a victory over Lomachenko's opponent for this Saturday's fight, which is Luke Campbell, who is also a former Olympian, just like Lomachenko. Now, we are familiar with Luke Campbell not only because of his fight with Linares and his what's it called, his Olympic shit, but because back in March, was it, or February? I believe it was March. He fought to be the mandatory for the WBC title. The guy who he fought, who I honestly don't remember his name, so I'm sorry, but the guy that he fought for the title eliminator was the guy that he had already previously lost to in a split decision earlier in his career. So that was very interesting to me to see how if he would avenge his defeat, and, especially to go for a title again, because, when he fought Linares and lost, that was for a title. But I was really intrigued by that, to see like, oh, how is this little Campbell kid gonna do? And he did well, and he was supposed to be Mikey Garcia's mandatory before Mikey Garcia dropped that WBC title to move up. Right, so that title is vacant, and now Campbell, because he was a mandatory, is going for the title. Now, imagine getting a call. Imagine getting a call and being like, hey, look, you're getting a title shot again. Woo! I know you won in March, and now you're actually getting that title shot that you won the eliminator for. Imagine the happiness in Luke Campbell, like, yeah, another title shot, and then they tell you it's gonna be against Lomachenko. Like, imagine being told like you're gonna try for another title, but the catch is it's against possibly, arguably, the number one pound for pound in Vasily Lomachenko. But hey, see you there. Train hard. It's like, fuck. That, I mean, and a lot of people are like, oh, you guys are counting Luke Campbell out. He's grown since his defeat to Linares and all this crap. And I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that this kid has improved since his defeat against Linares. Because how long ago was that? How long ago did he? I know Linares dropped him. It was at the Forum because I was there. I don't remember why. I think it was November of 2017. But I'm not sure. So don't quote me up on that. But point is, he's been growing, of course, and we saw this as he avenged his defeat. There's nothing better, I believe, than avenging a loss, and especially if it's for a title. But the level of opposition that Luke Campbell has fought, as compared to Lomachenko, is just, you can't compare it. And then, I think Luke Campbell has 20 fights, and that's not that many, much more than Lomachenko. I know, again, Lomachenko has 14, but it's been champions and, credible opponents who have been ranked and been mandatories. So I don't think it compares. I'm sorry. And I know the UK fans are probably going to be pissed at me and be like, bitch, shut up. You don't believe in our UK fighters. But it's not that. It's just that literally Lomachenko just has a way better resume. We've seen what Lomachenko can do. We've all been impressed, equally impressed with his skill. Meanwhile, I don't think I've ever been impressed by Luke Campbell. He's a really nice, in my opinion, B-level fighter. It's like, oh, nice, good shit, But nothing that you're like, this kid's something special, like we do with Lomachenko, or not all of us, but the majority of us. Think like, damn, this kid is special. Everybody else is just like hating, in my opinion, but I digress. So yeah, I think this fight ends in the same way all the Lomachenko fights have ended, besides Siri Salido and Pedraza, in a no mas situation. I think Lomachenko's just gonna frustrate Luke Campbell into a either fucking unanimous decision, or he's gonna catch him with something like he did with Croya, and that's all she wrote. I don't see anything specifically, again, special that Luke Campbell can surprise us with. But then again, this is boxing, and we've seen crazier shit happen before, right? Now, also, Andy Ruiz had a birthday party this weekend. I think he's 30 years old now, so he threw a party, and people are going fucking crazy. Like, oh my god, look at Andy spending all his fucking money. Motherfucker, what are you doing? Isn't Al his advisor? Why is he spending all this money? Oh, look at him. He's not even training. He's gonna lose a rematch. Oh my god. Like, what is up with you guys and people's, like, your obsession with boxers and how they spend their money or what the fuck they do in their free time? Like, I really don't understand. That was really fast that I said all that stuff really fast, but I don't get it. I don't get the obsession that you guys have with fighters and what they do outside of boxing. Like, it's his 30th birthday party. Can you let a motherfucker have sushi on top of a naked girl? Like, what, wasn't sushi there? Like, with the naked sushi shit? Let him live. Like, he struggled. He knows that, you know what? What I think he's doing is, like, look, I'm going to buy all this shit with my money because I know there's a rematch, right? There's a rematch clause. So I'm just going to basically spend all this motherfucking money because I know more money's going to come. And maybe I'll be smart with the next money. Because let's be honest, people who live paycheck to paycheck, number one here checking in. People that live paycheck to paycheck like me, don't we use like one paycheck to like treat ourselves? Like mine is the first of the month. I'm like the first paycheck of the month. I'm like, this is my paycheck. I mean, I think I have to pay like 2 bills. I think my phone bill and that's it. So I'm like, I think I have to pay my phone bill and like one of my credit cards, and that's it. You know, like I pay my bills and the rest. I'm like, I could use this to go and get hammered, right? And everything else is like, okay, the next are back to chingarle and to accumulate my money to pay my rent and shit. With Andy, I feel like that's what he's doing. He's like, hey, you know, this money I have, I earned this money. This is my money that I'm going to treat myself, treat my family, and that's that, you know? And he knows there's a rematch, so even if he loses the rematch, okay, whatever. Then he'll be smarter with his money. And I'm sure if he wins, he'll probably be like kind of smart with his money, but still kind of spend because he's like, bitch, I got the belts. Who wants to fight, motherfuckers? You know, like, I feel like that'll be the case, and if he wins, I think obviously his worth is gonna skyrocket even more because now he has most of the belts, and I'm pretty sure both him and Wilder, which are PBC, are eventually gonna fight, which is also a big mega fight, or you know any of the other champions. And honestly, PBC is probably gonna take care of him really well as well because we all know that even though a lot of PBC fighters don't fight often, they do get paid really well. So I don't think Andy will be the exception to that rule. Now what else is happening in the boxing world? Oh yeah, Erislandy Lara versus Canelo's brother. What's his name? What's Canelo's brother's name? What do they call him? El what? They call him El something. No, Ramon. I know his name's Ramon, but I forgot he has a really, really particular nickname. Now, if you don't remember, Canelo's brother fought Bam Bam Rios back earlier this year on DAZN, and that was pretty entertaining, honestly, because we know that Bam Bam is just there to swing at you and knock you out, and that he did, and they're both going at each other, but we know Bam Bam, besides that Danny Garcia fight and you know La Zorrita, but he does have a really good chin, and he's proved it that he just likes to be a slugger. And that was a really entertaining fight while it lasted, and Bam Bam got the knockout victory and then went to lose to La Zorrita, but that's besides the point. What the heck is Canelo's brother's nickname? It's really bothering me. Goddamn. Let me look it up. His nickname is El Inocente. El Inocente Alvarez. Now, this fight is really, really strange to me, and I honestly don't know why it's happening. Like, who thought this was a good idea or who initiated this? Because if you guys remember, Lara's last fight was against Brian, and I forgot his guy's last name, but he's the Argentinian welterweight champion and international or something, you know, one of those stupid ass belts. What's his last name? Brian something, right? And this Brian Argentinian kid went toe-to-toe with Erislandy Lara, and it was a draw. Like, they made this a draw, and they're both pissed, but I assumed it'd be a rematch because, I mean, it was a draw, and it was competitive. So I'm like, maybe there's going to be a rematch to this. No. Now what I see is that Erislandy Lara is fighting Canelo's brother as some sort of like, I'm going to avenge my loss with Canelo. Like, no offense, but what the fuck does that prove? It's not like Canelo's brother has been like some outstanding boxer that we are extremely familiar with besides just being Canelo's brother. Like, I'm pretty sure it's gonna hurt Canelo to a certain extent because remember, Canelo wanted to fight the Cotto brother or Cotto. Yeah, the Cotto brother, right? Because he beat, or was it Trout? Trout, right? Trout, I think, beat Canelo's brother. And I think Canelo was going to avenge him. And that he did. But, right? But that mattered, right? Because it's Canelo we're talking about. When it's Canelo's brother and Lara's trying to avenge that, it's kind of like honestly, what does that prove? Like, we know you're better than him stylistically, boxing wise, like in every way, shape, or form. You're better than Canelo's brother. What exactly does this prove? I don't understand, but hey, it should be an entertaining fight because, yeah, Lara used to be called, quote unquote, a boring fighter. I never thought he was boring, but, I get why people would think so. But we've seen him against Hurd, and that was a good fight. We've seen him against Perro Angulo, and that was a good fight. Like, se deja ir when he wants to, Lara's one of those guys that he'll go at it when he feels like it. And I hope in this fight he feels like it, even though I feel like he's going to have the same game plan he did against Canelo, except this time it's going to work even better because it's not Canelo. This is Canelo's brother, who has not much of boxing ability. And all he's going to come and do is try to knock you out. And he said that in their face-off. Which, by the way, this PBC guy who makes the face-offs, I don't like him. Like, he has the personality of a fucking wet sponge. I don't like it. But again, maybe I'm just hating because I wish I had his job. Yeah, he was asking them at their face-off, like, what are you going to do, Erislandy Lara? What is your game plan? And then Islandi's like, well, I'm going to be smart, and I'm going to know the knockout comes, it comes. Meanwhile, Inocente's like, I'm going to knock him the fuck out. And it's like, this guy moves a lot. Lara moves a lot, and I feel like he'll be ready to counter. And he's just going to frustrate the fuck out of Inocente. And then maybe towards the end, when Inocente's gassed the fuck out, that's when Lara's going to be like, capitalize on you, and I'm going to knock you out or try to knock you out. So, again, weird fight. I don't understand why. Or, other than, I guess, I'm going to avenge my loss against Canelo. But, again, I don't see how that makes any sense. But, they had a face-off. That fight, I believe, is going to be, when's that fight going to be at? That fight's this fucking Saturday, too. My bad. Yeah, that fight this Saturday, too. So, definitely catch that fight. It's on PBC on Fox. It should be pretty funny. I'm excited, actually, to see that. And what else is going on in boxing? Oh, my favorite boxing news this week. Or was it last week? I think it was last week. My favorite news last week in boxing was definitely Pedraza versus Jose Chon Cepeda. That's actually going to be in the Vegas undercard for Fury and whoever Fury is fighting, and Navarrete and whoever Navarrete is fighting. Like, I feel like this fight's going to steal the show in the way that this is the most competitive fight. I know people are there to see Fury and Navarrete, but don't sleep on Pedraza and Chon Cepeda, my dudes. If you don't know who Chon Cepeda is, he's a guy that, in my opinion, beat Jose Ramirez in Jose Ramirez's fight before Hooker. This guy's a southpaw. He boxes really well. He only has one defeat, well, two now with Jose Ramirez. But his previous defeat was also to a world champion, and that was only because he got injured during the fight. This guy gives anybody problems. Anybody. He's a southpaw. He's slick. He's not afraid to also get in there and exchange. I think he definitely gave Ramirez a run for his money. It was amazing to see that fight. And honestly, I think Ramirez won a hometown decision there. But I forgive him because his fucking fight against Hooker just made me orgasm like 5 times. Just, watching it. Anyways, yeah, and Pedraza, we know what Pedraza can do. We know Pedraza is basically a B-level fighter, but he comes to fight as well. We see what he did with Lomachenko, and a lot of people were like, oh my God, Lomachenko didn't knock him out like Gervonta did. Styles make fights, and we know that Lomachenko doesn't have that power, but we saw with Rey Beltran, we seen Pedraza, and he doesn't look bad, so I'm really, really excited to see this card way much more than I'm excited to see Munguia and Ryan against whoever Braulios are fighting. Like, I don't know who they're fighting and why. I mean, I do know. I don't want to act that dumb. But it's not interesting to me. This fight in Vegas is interesting to me. Just for that fight alone, because I know the same thing applies to Fury. Who is he fighting? I don't know. But it should be really interesting. Other than that, this was my first podcast back. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry for making you guys wait. I thought nobody would give a fuck, but then I would get messages like, where's your podcast? Why haven't you done your podcast? And I'm like, well, I'm doing my podcast, and I would redirect them to the Against the Ropes people, which I think you guys should definitely go check out Against the Ropes. So I would redirect it to them, but now again, since I'm not doing that with them anymore, I'm like, okay, let me bring it back and let me videotape it so that I can put it on YouTube as a video, but also put it on the iTunes as an audio. And I'm definitely going to start having more interviews. I want to have my first phone call interview next podcast. I'm going to be doing it next Wednesday. And I know you guys have seen that I've been more consistent, and I've been putting more content out on my website and on YouTube. So thank you guys for following. But with the podcast now, it's also going to be consistent. So yes. Believe me, okay? All right, guys. I'm definitely gonna be trying to bring you guys more coverage as the fights here locally in LA become more consistent, because right now there's not that much going on right now. I know they have the next big thing is Spence versus Porter here in LA, and I'll definitely be bringing you guys coverage for that. Other than that, thank you guys for following me. Don't forget to go to ChicanaBoxing.com, subscribe here on YouTube and on iTunes or wherever the fuck you're listening to this. Rate it, give me 5 stars. Tell me how, I don't know, share about boxing if you want to. That's fine too. Other than that, yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.